Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. There is a very old fight in the world, a conflict. And that is the conflict between haqq and batil. Haqq means in Arabic, it means the truth. And batil, that means falsehood, lies, deceit, cheating. Now this fight, it actually began a very, very long time ago. To trace the origins of the story of good versus evil, we have to go back to the place where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, where He created Adam alayhi salam, the first man. And the story is, it's a very powerful and a very impactful story. And a story that has been told over and over and over again over the ages. But the most truthful version we see from the divine revelation. The incident particularly that focuses on haqq and batil is when Adam alayhi salam was created and the ruh, his soul, was blown into him and he came alive, and he was standing in front of a congregation of angels, malaika. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala ordered the angels to prostrate to Adam alayhi salam. Now among the angels, there was one jinn. This jinn, its name is Iblis. So Iblis was actually among that congregation of angels. This actually tells us that Iblis in the first place had a very high rank among the slaves of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, because he is the only jinn, as far as I know, he is the only jinn in that congregation of malaika or the angels. And all the malaika, they prostrate. When Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala commanded to prostrate Adam alayhi salam, prostrate to Adam alayhi salam, all the malaika accepted and prostrated, except for Iblis. And the conversation that follows between the shaitan or the Iblis and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives us something of an indication as to why Iblis didn't want to prostrate to Adam alayhi salam. Iblis at one point, he explains, he tries to, negotiate his act, his deed. He says, I did not prostrate, or why should I prostrate to something that which you created from clay when I am created from fire? So here we see that Iblis actually is proud. There is pride in him that he was created by the fire, and he is thinking that fire is superior to clay. When actually it's not. Fire, we all know, it's not superior to clay. And also, we see that Iblis displays arrogance. He is arrogant because he thinks that he is a far superior creation of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala than Adam alayhi salam, than humans. And not only pride and arrogance, there is also something else. There is jealousy here, envy, jealous. Because inside his heart, he knows the truth. Iblis knows the truth. He knows that fire cannot outsmart clay. And he knows that this particular creation, human beings, Adam alayhi salam, has the potential to far exceed even the malaika. Inshallah. Because of this potential that man has, Iblis feels jealous. And this jealousy is also something that which prevents Iblis from prostrating to Adam alayhi salam under the command of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, because this is not a matter of prostration and who's better than who. This is just a matter of obeying Allah. And here there is a direct disobedience. And that is what causes Iblis to be an outcast and branded as the shaitan, the eternal outcast, and is also destined toward hellfire. But before that damnation happens, Iblis actually vows to be an eternal enemy to mankind. And since that day, since the first day of man's story, Iblis and its armies have always waged war against mankind. And that is one of the primary points of understanding this long-standing conflict between haqq and batil, or the truth versus falsehood. Because if we really think about it, if we really pay attention, if we look at all around us, if we look at everything that's going on in the world, everything comes down to this point, this fact, that it's a question of whether the matter at hand is true or false. And there's a lot of falsehood. In the 21st century, in the age we are living in, there's a lot of falsehood. There's falsehood all around us, and there's also falsehood in our personal lives. And that's the question here, because if we are misguided, like Iblis, when you pay close attention, both the pride Iblis had, proud that fire is better than clay, and the arrogance Iblis had, that he himself was a superior creation to man, both of these are false. They are lies. Fire is not better than clay, and Iblis is not better than man. So those are two potentially damning lies, falsehood. And what did falsehood lead to? Iblis earned Allah's anger by believing a lie. And this is the same situation we see today. Today in our lives, every time we make decisions, we either make these decisions based on the truth, based on haqq, or based on falsehood. If we make a decision based on falsehood, that decision will ultimately always lead to disaster. If we believe in the wrong person, if we believe in the wrong thing, if we believe a falsehood and make financial decisions in our lives. And how many people do that? You and me, all of us. I'm sure if you pay attention to your past lives, there are many decisions that you always think, that you always kind of regret and think that, I could have made a better decision. You know that that decision was wrong, but you made it based on the information you had, based on the knowledge you had, trying to use the best judgment you had at the time. And you can think back. And today you're wiser, you're smarter, you're more knowledgeable, you're more experienced, you're older, and you look at that decision and you know that you made that decision and it was based on something false. You believed in something that you shouldn't have believed, or you believed in someone you shouldn't have believed, and therefore it led to disaster. And that's okay. This is humanity. This is how life works. We learn. But we have to understand that primary concept, that as long as we depend on the truth, everything is going to work out, end of the day. But as long as we try to depend on falsehood, things will always lead to disaster. Now, what is the biggest lie in the world? The biggest lie is everything that opposes monotheism. In Arabic, we call it Tawheed. Monotheism is what all the major religions preach. Christianity, Judaism, Islam. Among the 8 billion people today, close to I think 5-6 billion people, in some way or form, understand that the world, the foundation of the world, is monotheistic. And then we corrupt that belief. We've brought in innovations into that belief. For example, Christians know that they call it the Godhead. They know that there is one God. And they tell themselves that we are a monotheistic religion. But they've corrupted it by bringing in this concept of Trinity. And it's not something that is even mentioned in the Bible. However corrupt the Bible is, it's not even mentioned in the Bible. And yet it's been brought in and people believe it. People say 3 is 1 and 1 is 3. All kinds of nonsensical things. So we corrupt this idea. And the same you see with other religions, major religions like Hinduism. Hinduism also, when you really analyze internally, there is a monotheistic concept. That everything is coming from a supreme being. And that being is only one being. And then people corrupted the religion. So polytheism, right? That is an opposition to monotheism. Polytheism, which is basically assigning partners to that one true God, thinking that there are more than one God. Worshipping things and objects other than the God, the true God that should be worshipped. Worshipping idols, worshipping statues, worshipping stones, and worshipping trees, and worshipping the sun and the moon, and some even worship the cow and the goat and elephants. All kinds of worship is going on in the world. And that is the biggest lie. And that is what one should question oneself with. Every time we try to make decisions in our lives, every time we try to listen to other people, every time someone is coming and trying to influence us, tell us what to do, explain to us how to be, every time someone tries to do that, a human being, able human being, a commonsensical human being, a sensible human being will think, is this person saying the truth? Is this truthful? So if someone comes and asks you to worship a statue, and in many cases, most of the places where this happens, what happens is we imitate our parents, right? So parents would be worshipping something, a tree or a statue or something like that, a stone, and then we also follow it because we think, especially when we are kids, when we are small, when we are young, we think that our parents, there is no way they can be wrong. They are perfect. We think that. We tend to idolize them. We tend to venerate them. And we try to follow them. We try to imitate them. So if we see our parents worshipping a tree, we also gladly go and worship. But can you blame the kid? Of course. No. It's a small mind. But what is happening is a hugely impactful falsehood is being slowly penetrated through to that child's mind. The falsehood that idol worship or statue worship or the sun worship or the moon worship or the cow worship actually is going to bring results. Because anybody knows that a statue has no power. The sun has no power. The sun has no option. It has to rise and it has to set. There's a rule it has to follow. And that's all it can do. And the same with the moon, same with the earth, same with all the trees. So when we worship all these inanimate objects, the first question we must ask ourselves is this haqq? Is this the truth? And determine and decide whether it is the truth or not. If it is true, if your heart tells you that it's true, sure. But if your heart tells you, no, wait, there is definitely something wrong here. I'm worshipping a stone, and if I want, I can bring a hammer and just break this stone. I'm worshipping a statue, but if I kick it, it will fall and crash. It has no power. And I am worshipping it, and I'm asking for things. I'm asking for it to help me with my exam. I'm asking for it to give me wealth. I'm asking for it to give me a job. What kind of belief is that? So you decide for yourself whether it is the truth or whether it is falsehood. This is the most important aspect of human life. Figuring this out can actually help you organize your life in every aspect, whether it's your education, whether it's your finances, whether it's your capital, whether it's your properties, whether it's the relationships that you have with your parents, with your mother, with your father. All of these, there is a truthful way, a truthful aspect of dealing with these, and a false aspect. For example, and this is a major problem, it's that some of us, we tend to worship our parents. We tend to bow down, kneel down, and just go to the toes as much as we can. Just go completely down and literally prostrate to our parents. Why? Why would we do that? Okay, a kid would do it thinking that parents are all powerful, parents are the ones who feed me, they are the ones who are capable. But as you grow up, you realize, again, something seems wrong here. Our parents don't seem to be all-knowing because they seem to be making a lot of mistakes. And they also seem to be very weak because there's very little that they can control. They have their own issues. They're dependent on food. They have to eat. They get hungry. They do all the things that even I have to go through. And they have parents. And those parents are now old and they are weak. So that's definitely going to happen to my parents. As I grow up, my parents are going to be weak. And someday, if I have my own children, as they grow up, I'm going to be weak. So this is an endless cycle. This happens to every human being. So no human being is different to any other. The human experience is quite consistent across all human beings. Whether it's my parents, whether it's my neighbors, whether it's me, whether it's my siblings, whether it's my children, everybody is going to experience the human condition. So prostrating to another human being, prostrating to a parent, does that make sense? No, it does not. Another pertinent question one must ask oneself if one is engaged in that kind of behavior. So I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to help us all understand this difference, this conflict between haqq and batil. And I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to help us understand His power, His might, to help us understand what the true essence of the name Ya Khaliq or Al-Haliq, Al-Khaliq. It's one of the names of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and it literally means, translated to English, it means the creator. So we learn from that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He is the creator of everything. He created the universe, He created the 7 heavens, He created the earth, the sun, the moon, the man, the animals, the creatures, the serpents, the insects, the stars, everything, the jinn and the angels, the malaika. He is the one who created everything. So we can only ask Him to help us understand who He is. Without His help, we won't even be able to understand who He is. And I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to make us from those who understand who Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is, and to make us from those who prostrate only to Him and nobody else, so that we may be from the truly free people in this dunya, that we may be the truly independent people in this dunya. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. Greetings of peace, and may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's mercy and blessings be upon you all.